Lincoln, it's funny when you look at this transfer portal, and you've greatly benefited from it. You brought in 12, 13 guys. Most will be starters. Many will. You've been a guy that's never had a problem pivoting off stuff. And a couple years ago, I don't think you liked the transfer portal, and now you've got to use it. And there's people calling you out saying, Lincoln, you said this 2 years ago, and what are you doing now? My takeaway is you can't be stubborn. Like, if the world's changed, is it been weird to you to be at the head of a program that desperately needed the transfer portal?
It has. But like you said, you can't. The rules are the rules. I think there's kind of two parts of you. There's the purist. There's the person that obviously loves football, in some ways maybe the fan of the game of you that maybe has an idea of the way you would like to see it go. But then also there's the person that's here to do a job, and there's a person that has a set of rules and parameters to work within, and you're going to do everything you can within those rules to help build your program and put it to an advantage. And so that's what we've tried to do. So
a handful of Oklahoma players, Caleb Williams, the most notable, Mario Williams, great receiver, Latrell McCutcheon, excellent young corner. You brought a couple of Oklahoma kids over, really, really good players, but you also went to Stanford, and you went to Oregon, and you went to Washington, and you went to Colorado. Was it a delicate situation where your heart was in Oklahoma for so long, you leave, and you want to bring some players over, but you know it's sensitive? Was that a tough situation?
I think so, but I think the transfer portal kind of handles a lot of that. We didn't take players from Oklahoma. We took players from the transfer portal. Those players and their families had to make a decision to either stay at that university, just like any other player has to make, or to enter the portal where then they can be recruited by anybody in the country. And that's up to those players and their families, and we have nothing to do with that. But once a player gets into a portal where they are open to any school in the country, we would be crazy not to take a look at that and try to help our football team. And then on top of it, for me, maybe the more emotional tie for me is these are guys that we recruited. We got to know their families. We were a part of the entire process. All of a sudden they were good enough for us to take at Oklahoma, but now we wouldn't give them a chance just because we're at a new spot. I just, that part never really made sense to me. So, certainly excited to get those guys here along with all of our other players. And to us, it's literally these are players in a portal. These are guys that we feel like can come into USC and help us get this program to where it needs to be.
I went to dinner last night with a friend of mine, Sage Rosenfels, who played in the NFL. He loves Caleb Williams. And I asked him, I said, tell me about him. And he said, he's smart guy, gets it, gets better, coachable. And it's interesting. The game, Lincoln, it's really interesting how football's working now. You had Kyler Murray. You want players to be coachable and play within a system, but then you get a Kyler or a Caleb Williams who are so gifted, you want the artistry to come out. When you get a Kyler or a Caleb, is it different to coach a player that there is a certain box to your offense, but you don't want to overcoach? He's such a unique talent.
Agreed. I think the plan for us, or maybe the best case scenario for us, is let's teach them how it should be scripted. Let's teach them how this should play out, this call versus this coverage, or this run versus this blitz, whatever it is. But then let's also not lock them down so much mentally that they can't use their natural gifts. And that's what you recruit so hard for. That's what you develop so hard for is, as we know in football, you just mentioned it, not every play is going to go exactly like both sides or both coordinators, both sets of coaches envision it going. And a lot of times when you have players that can play within a system but have a great feel of when they can make a play, make something happen unscripted, unprompted, it gives you a much better chance for success.
I tell, USC fans are crazy. So, I mean, my USC buddies, they're all like, well, when are they going to win national championships? I'm like, whoa, slow down. I said, can we get a year to get the business, the culture of USC football back? And then year 2, you have a really good recruiting class. And then year 3, all right, that's the year you got a couple recruiting classes. But then, part of me thinks, well, there's the transfer portal. It's easier than it used to be. What is a realistic view, Lincoln, on I can go toe-to-toe with Ohio State. I think we can play personnel-wise. I feel like it's middle of year 3. Is that too quick? Is it unrealistic? Is it too slow? Like, how do you view USC playing in that top 7 or 8 teams, the Georgia, Notre Dame, who's on your schedule, that group?
I'd say this, the good part about being in my position is we honestly don't spend much time thinking about how long we think it's going to take. I think we obviously know what it looks like. We've been there. We've been a part of those championships and the big games and all of that. And so I think you have a vision in your head of, all right, here's what we need to get to. Here's the steps we need to take. Now let's go. Let's put the gas down. Let's go attack this as quickly as we can. Let's use the portal. Let's use high school recruiting. Let's develop. Let's build up facilities. Let's build up culture, atmosphere around the program, staff. And I think you just do that as fast as you can. And obviously the faster you can do it, the more it takes hold and the chance you have to start stacking, great years on top of great years. And so I don't want to limit it by saying, well, it can't happen until year 3 or year 4. I don't know that I necessarily believe that. I think with all the advantages that we have and if we continue to invest as a program and continue to build in all areas, obviously we would not have left what we left unless we felt like this could be something very, very elite. And I think every person that we've brought in, every staff member, every player feels that right now.
You've been around Southern California now I follow you. I see you're traveling around. You're going to the high schools. California's got 39 million people. There's, 200 Division I kids annually or 150, whatever it is. And there's 5 or 6 states, Georgia, Florida, Texas, California. They got more players. What is your sense? I always feel like California is a great place for quarterbacks, wide receivers, corners. What is your sense of the high school talent in the state? What do you see in the first 2 months?
I've been very impressed. I really have. As you said, my previous stops, we've recruited California on kind of more of a spot basis for a specific player here or there. So it's been fun to really get to know the whole state, to get around the coaches, to see all the talent that there really is here. I think there's as much talent in this state as there's ever been. Certainly we'll get outside of the state here and there to spot guys, but our priority is going to be doing the very best we can to bring in the very best to USC from the state of California. And so very excited about the talent, and that was certainly, that's certainly part of what makes this USC opportunity so unique.
Finally, the NIL is interesting. Nick Saban said something the other day. He said, listen, if we compensate great players in the program, that's what it was created for. I don't think it should be used to buy high school players. And that's, to me, there's got to be some legislation on this. Like, it's not meant to pay 17-year-olds. It's meant to pay Caleb Williams or, a great player, right? Are you uncomfortable a little bit with the NIL? Is it easy to navigate, easier than you thought, tougher? Is it a landmines of problems here? How do you view it?
No, it's unique. Listen, it is. But, anybody that knows anything about college football knew that the second they put in all this NIL legislation, the first thing that it's going to get to is it's going to get to recruiting. It was destined to happen, and that's the recruiting gets so competitive at this level, as we all know, and it's obviously it's a part of it right now. Again, whether people choose to admit it or not, it certainly is. So excited about the opportunities for all of our players here. Los Angeles, this community, this university provides some unique opportunities that I don't think exist anywhere else in our sport. And so I think it can certainly be an advantage for us, but it'll be interesting to see as we go on. And, there's 2 parts of it. One, do you think there should be legislation in terms of recruiting? And then can that happen with all the different laws and all the different movements going on right now? So it's certainly going to involve, but it's a big part of any part of college football right now, whether it's recruiting, whether it's current players on the roster. It's certainly changed a lot of how people operate.
By the way, you do realize when you put one of those emojis up, fight on your Twitter, you do realize it freaks everybody. It's like it's a Christmas present that we can't open. So every time you put up that emoji, all USC fans are like, oh, it's like being a 9-year-old and mom wrapped a present and you have to sit and wait for 10 days until you can open the present. So use those with discretion. They're very powerful, Lincoln. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, there's a lot more coming.
Look at that. The tree's got a lot of presents. Lincoln, it's a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Fight on.
You bet. Fight on, baby. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.